Hey, I'm Tom.
And I'm John.
And we're the co-founders of Hans & Frank Illustration Agency.
In this series, we'll be sitting down and talking to our illustrators, finding out more about them, their artistic process, and the creative industry we work in.
Welcome to our podcast.
You recording, Tom?
I am.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Hans & Frank podcast. It's actually quite sunny now in London. We're recording in our new office space for the second time.
Which is just really echoey.
Which is a bit echoey, but I think it sounded okay on the last.
Yeah. It's still, I feel like we need to kind of buy lots of soft things.
Soft furniture, more rugs needed. But yeah, once again, we've got an amazing guest come all the way from the US to come and see us. So yeah, really delighted to introduce today's guest. Originally from Brazil, but currently living in Brooklyn, and we're very lucky to have her in London today. So welcome, Niege Borges.
let me do it. Niege Borges.
Yes.
Tom, that's amazing.
That was
Thank you.
perfect, yes.
Yeah, we do have this thing. So for Luis Mendo, I'd say for at least the first month or two, for us it was Louis. Mm-hmm. For you, we thought you were Niege.
Okay, yeah.
But it happens everywhere around the world, right?
Yeah, I got Niege a lot. But
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's Niege.
Niege.
Yes.
Welcome, Niege. Welcome
Thank
to London
you.
and welcome to our office.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Love the office.
Well, it's really cool to finally meet you in person. Obviously, we've been working together
Since May 21?
I don't know.
We checked earlier and I've
Someone's
already
done their
forgotten.
research.
Yeah, well, I checked. So that we reached out to you because obviously of all the illustrators we work with, sometimes they contact us, sometimes we contact them. Mm-hmm. In this instance, in May 21, we dropped you an email saying, look, we loved your work. Mm-hmm. And then we set up a call and the rest is history. But we've been since then we've worked on editorial, advertising. Mm-hmm. You've done book covers?
Yes.
So we've had a nice range of projects.
Yeah.
For you as an artist, is there a kind of a preferred, what's your favorite projects that you like to work on?
I think it really depends. As an artist, for me, the ideal is the ones that I have more creative freedom.
Yeah.
But I understand that is not possible for every project. But so I think I like best the projects that I get to see the work in multiple medias.
Yeah.
I think that is always fun to see like your work online, but then also printed, and then maybe like on a poster somewhere. So probably advertising.
Yeah.
But it really depends.
And you prefer a brief that's more open?
Yes, I think so. I think I prefer when I can decide more what I'm going to draw, just like get more like of a vibe or, it's good to have like more freedom, I think.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes, of course, you have to narrow it down because if you have so much freedom, then, it's always not that easy. But if the client allows you to create freely within, their limitations, of course, it's my favorite, I think.
Yeah, we have this kind of constant balance with briefs. Sometimes they're very prescriptive. Mm-hmm. The art director has seen your work, it's created an idea, and it's very much sort of led as to that's what they want to commission. Mm-hmm. And then other times it's really, really open. Mm-hmm. But what we do find is that with those briefs that are really open, when you just come up with whatever idea you want to, when the client sees that, they either go, yeah, I love it, or they're like, no, that's horrible. That's not what I was thinking at all.
Yeah, that is the problem with more creative freedom, because then sometimes they realize that, oh no, actually we know exactly what we want and it's not that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have to adjust. But yeah, it really depends for me on the client and the briefing. So yeah, but I do love to do advertising. I like editorial as well. Book covers are fun because you have, it's not like a lot of freedom, but you get to be a little bit more whimsical, maybe more like not very literal sometimes. So it is nice as well.
Yeah, nice.
For people that don't know your work, how would you describe it? And firstly, how would you describe it kind of with adjectives, but also tell us a bit about process and how you actually physically create?
So my work has a lot of texture and bold colors, and I like to try to also have a lot of depth when possible, you know, like within the use of layers and colors. So yeah, I think just like to also say that my work is usually fun. If I
would say
can
so.
do
Yeah, I
this,
would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to incorporate a sense of humor sometimes if the work allows. I would say that sometimes it's also fashionable if I am allowed to be a little fashionable. Some clients, of course, want not that much fashion, unfortunately. But yeah, I also like to explore movement a lot. So I think that's a big part of my work. I like to portray people moving around or dancing or
So
that sort of
there's a
stuff.
lot of big brush strokes and
bold, yes.
lines in your work, isn't there? Which is something that really drew us to it, and I think it's something that makes it very identifiable as you. Because and I'm aware you also paint. You paint oils.
Oil and acrylic. Yeah.
Oil and acrylic. And I was wondering, you know, what did you come up with your style? Did you come up with that digitally and then replicate it with paint, or have you always been a painter and you found a way to create your painterly style digitally?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. Like I painted when I was younger, when I was a teenager, and then I kind of stopped for a long time to just focus on digital work. But then I went back at painting, and then with a lot of things that I found out while painting, I incorporated it into my digital work. So it is a mix of both.
Have you ever done a painting for a commercial project?
Painting, yes, I've done one recently that I still didn't post, but it was quite big.
Yeah. So this is they commissioned a painting. They get the physical painting, or
yes, they sent me the fabric. So instead of sending me like a stretched canvas, they sent me like a fabric.
Oh, right.
And then I just painted the fabric and shipped it back to them. So yeah, I still didn't post about it. It wasn't like a huge client or anything, but it was a nice project.
I think that's the thing, is that's just a bit different. And I think that then really stands out as a project that you enjoy a bit more. So how big are your paintings normally?
Oh, it depends. I do smaller ones, which are more convenient to paint in my apartment. Yeah. But I also have a studio space in my apartment, so I get to do bigger sizes as well. So it really depends. I don't know for sure the sizes. It really depends. Nice. But I do several different sizes. Not too small though, because I don't like small. I mean, the ones that I do small are just for myself, just for like study. But the ones that I actually like finish, they're usually on the bigger side.
And I guess that lends itself to, again, the bold brush strokes that are kind of a big part of your work.
Exactly, yeah, because like with smaller canvas, you don't get to do so many like expressive brush strokes, and I like to have the like very expressive aspect in my paintings and also in my digital work. And yeah, that is best to work with bigger sizes.
Yeah. So are you using an iPad or a tablet or?
I use a tablet. I use the sidekick with the screen on it. I also have just like the traditional Wacom without a screen as well, because that was my first tablet, and like I still use it. But the sidekick is nicer because you're actually drawing.
Yeah, no, they're really nice.
Yeah.
Have you used an iPad at all?
Yeah, I use iPad sometimes, but mostly for sketching. I finished a few illustrations on iPad, but it's not my favorite. I like kind of to sit down on my desk and and do it on my computer.
Yeah, I'd say there's a good 6 of our artists or so that use Cintiqs. But yeah, they're great. They're really, really nice.
Yeah, they're nice. Yeah, it took me a while to get one, but when I got it, I was very pleased with it. I just always just worked well with the Wacom tablet without the screen. I forget what the model name is, but like Wacom Pro something.
Yeah.
And in terms of, so I mean, people feature a lot in your illustrations. When you're painting a person, is it like, do you ever sort of go out in the street and are you basing your paintings on real people, or is it just in your imagination?
Yeah, I based in real people, definitely. Also, fashion editorials I used as reference a lot of the time. Like I have like a Pinterest full of like references of just people, but I would say that as I live in New York, like you see tons of different people from different backgrounds.
Because is it New York Fashion Week next week, isn't it?
I think it just happened.
Oh,
yes, I forgot.
That's how up to date I am.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's still happening, but maybe it just happened.
I don't know if you've ever done it, but I could imagine you going out into the streets and drawing, you know, all the characters that you see at New York Fashion Week.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely drew some like people inspired by fashionable New York people, because we definitely have a lot there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, but yeah, it's like I used to sketch people that I see on the street. Now I more like just look at people and that just stays with me, and then eventually I use that, or I write little things down like, oh, that person had, I don't know, like the dog inside that bag or something like that.
Sure.
And it's just like nice to remember.
And I mean, your work is incredibly colourful. How do you choose those palettes?
Yeah, it's that's a tricky question, I think, because I think it's a matter of like you just been creating artwork for like so many years, and then like you have like so many references from like everywhere, and then eventually you just land in a color palette that resonates more with you and your work. For me, I don't know, I always liked a lot of like bold colors. I graduated in graphic design, so I think that was a big inspiration for me as well. And like I always liked especially like more vintage graphic design stuff, like the very bold colors from like the 60s or the 70s. So I always was attracted to that type of work, and like vintage labels as well, stuff like that. So I tried to incorporate some of this in my work and use like very bold colors. It's also just fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to kind of bring things back a little bit. You grew up in South Brazil, in Porto Alegre, did you say?
Yes.
In the south.
Yes.
And what was your childhood like there, and how big a part did art play in your childhood, and was creativity always sort of something that surrounded you, or was that something that came later?
I know I was always like, I'm an only child, so I think that's how I would occupy myself. Like, of course I have friends, but...
You drew your siblings.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would make up stuff to do when I was just playing at home. Sometimes I would have friends over, so I would go to friends' house, but I would spend a lot of time by myself as well, and I was just like fine with that. I never, like I was happy to just be like drawing, and my mother would take me to museums like in the south of Brazil. We do have some. It's not like as nice as bigger cities, but there was always like some good exhibitions happening that she would take me to. And I would like to go to used bookstores as well. Mm-hmm. So I would spend some time looking at like old magazines and like buying some like cheap old magazines as a kid also. So yeah, I think all of that was like part of how I grew up, and visuals were always like just fun to me, I guess. Like,
and is, how well is art taught in Brazilian schools? Is it a big thing, or is it slightly kind of pushed down the pecking order?
Yeah, it's not amazing. At least when I was in school, it wasn't great. I always had art school. Like I remember, like on daycare, even like vaguely, being like doing some drawings and not getting a lot of. I don't know. I just have one of my earliest memories about drawing actually, because I was very small. I don't know how old I was, but I was in daycare, and then I remember that I drew some birds. And then like the woman at the daycare, she kind of like talked badly about my birds.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And then I show it to her.
Yes.
Now this is my
Let's hope she's
full-time
listening.
job. Yes, but yes, I remember that like she was like, oh, you should draw more like that. And then she pointed to this other kid that had like this bird that is just like your very standard bird, the one that is kind of like an M shape. And I was like, yeah, but that's just an average bird. Like my bird has eyes and a beak and like feathers and stuff.
How old do you think you were?
I don't know, very small.
So this is your first experience of feedback.
Yeah.
It didn't go well.
It wasn't good. I was mad. I remember till this day.
Wow.
Today, of course, I am an adult, so I'm fine with feedback. But as a child, I was like, no, that's wrong. And she's wrong. And yeah. But
It's interesting that memory is really stuck with you, though. That
yeah.
obviously,
I was like, I'm going to show it to her. I'm going to graduate in graphic design, and I'm.
I mean, that could have been a pivotal moment. That could have been the whole reason why you went to become an illustrator.
But at least I knew that she was wrong, though, and for a kid, I think that was nice. That I knew that she was like, no, she's not right. That is like my bird has more personality.
And that's how I see the bird. That's how I want to draw
like
the bird.
that's just like an average, very easy to draw bird, like, which is fine as well, of course. But like I felt that I was, trying to make my own thing.
So then you studied graphic design, you said?
Yeah, and in college. Yes.
Was that in New York or?
No, that was in Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I graduated in graphic design. I always was interested in illustration. But in Brazil, it's kind of like you're not going to make that a living, like it's at the time, especially. Now maybe it's more doable, but at the time it's still like very early internet days. So I remember seeing more illustration, like even on magazines that were about art, like those specific like illustration magazines. And of course on the internet as well, but it was like early internet days. So I was just like, I need to go to college to something that I can like get a job. And but it turned out also that I really liked graphic design. It wasn't just like about getting jobs. It was just like, I like this.
Yeah. And did you ever work as a graphic designer?
Yeah. I did freelance work, and I occasionally still do. Because I really like graphic design. It's just like a visual way of telling stories as well most of the time. I mean, sometimes it can be boring, but depending on what you do. But it can be fun as well, and you can incorporate illustrations sometimes, which is something I got to do also multiple times. So yeah, I really like graphic design, and I still like follow a lot of cool graphic designers.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of crossover between the two.
Yeah.
Especially when you're learning it as well.
Yeah.
It just strikes me as quite a good foundation. A few of our illustrators started from a graphic design background, or some of them started from a furniture design background or product, but I think it does give you kind of a foundation to then build upon, and also perhaps a better understanding of sometimes what clients need and what clients want, and how the challenges that face clients. Yeah, I think it gives experience on working with clients, and like you said, understanding how the briefing works and like how the project work on their end. And also, and just a better understanding of kind of the fact that there are lots of opinions and stakeholders in this process, and it's not just about you as a freelancer. Doing the work. There's other elements to it.
Well, I always say that I know it's a hard thing to do, but every illustrator should try going to commission an illustration from someone else. because then you see it from the other side.
Yeah.
Even for us, like, you know, obviously we're very involved in this industry, but when we commission an illustration for something we need, it's it's really interesting, like having to write that brief, think about it, and then what you get back, it's not always what you expect. And then
we should start the Handsome Frank chain.
Yeah.
So one of our artists commissions another one,
like Photoshop tennis,
and then it moves on.
Yeah.
Group show coming up.
Yeah, it could. I mean,
it
could either be really good or really bad. It might make everyone fall out with each other.
It's funny though, because I think quite often we all talk about clients and we all talk about things that we see that are common themes or things you come up against time and time again, and frustrations that you have. But then when you become the client, it's like, oh God, I'm that person. I'm asking those questions.
All the cliches.
Yeah,
you end up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but I think you learn a lot from it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think like that working with graphic design, I totally, that gave me a lot of experience working, like on the other end. So like I understand like when you ask something, it's not personal. It's just like a lot of people are reviewing something, and depending on the company, they have like a lot of rules and like colors, or like even they can't, portray something specific. A lot of stuff.
Tell us about the clothing that you've been doing recently. You have it for sale on your website now.
Oh yes, I'm selling some upcycled clothing. It's just like some clothes that I thrift myself because it's fun.
Yeah.
And you can get like a lot of nice thrift finds in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. So I've been printing my artwork in a few pieces, and it's a very like small scale project because I'm just doing it myself. But it is like a passion project of mine because I get to like see my artwork in clothes, and because I didn't want to do t-shirts or sweatshirts. I kind of wanted to do something more special.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of have like this one of a kind.
So they're patches, is that right? Or how is the artwork applied?
They're prints. I use like they're transfers is what you
Do
call
you iron
it.
it on?
Yeah, it's no iron because those are like worse quality.
Yeah.
So like but it's the same principle, like the ones that you used to like get an iron on your clothes, but it's with like a actual like heat press, and
nice.
And then they actually last, and you can wash the clothes.
And are you just selling them online, or are you selling them in like a local store? Or?
For now, just online, but I'm going to look into like having some in New York in stores. I still have to look into that, but it is a plan of mine to have that.
But I've only seen them online, but they really stand out. And as you say, you could, a lot of people just, I'll just go and do a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But this just stands out as being a sort of very unique thing.
Yeah. I get a lot of compliments outside. But yeah, it's just like something that feels like more unique, and I select the clothes as well because myself, I don't wear a lot of t-shirts. I mean, I like button shirts and, different stuff. So like, I was like, I want to do something like that. And it's just fun to explore also, and to think how my artwork looks as something that I can like repeat in different fabrics, different colors. There's like a whole thought process of like, how can these little illustrations work in different pieces? So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's great. It's those kind of projects. You never know where they're going to lead.
Yeah, exactly.
It could lead to a big commission or another company that you're running. But it's nice to sort of take the initiative to do things like that.
Yeah. For now, I'm just like taking it slow, and then we'll see where it goes. As a lot of illustrators, I'm not like very fond of the whole advertising part of the business. So that's a problem with clothes, I guess. You have to do a lot of advertising.
You mean in terms of promoting?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That you're doing.
Yeah, promoting what I'm doing. I feel that like a lot of brands even like small clothing brands, they do like promote like every day, on social media, and that's not something I want to be doing all the time,
Yeah.
So I'm taking it slow so it works with my process.
I think you could easily end up just filling your apartment with loads of clothes as well.
Exactly. Yes.
But it sounds like a good excuse to go shopping in thrift stores.
Yeah, I get to buy a little something, and I can just, it's
one
for
for
work.
me, one for the project.
Yeah, it's for work. And yeah, worst case scenario, just gives shirts to friends and they all going to wear
And they're all one-offs as well, which is kind of. Have you ever walked
Yeah.
past someone on the street wearing one of them, or not yet?
Oh, not yet, but
Not at that moment yet.
but yeah, it is nice that they're unique. So yeah, it
They're
feels
out there.
special. Yeah.
And because you are someone that likes to do these kind of side projects and try things. Tell us about was it Elizabeth, the inflatable one? I got the name right.
Yes, we did, Elizabeth.
Well, tell us about Elizabeth. Tell us who Elizabeth was.
Yeah, as one of my children. Yeah, she's there. She's in my office. Yeah, I just love inflatable toys. Like,
So I don't know what this is. I think I was away when you did it. So
you didn't see Elizabeth?
tell us what it is.
Like one of our clients even like asked to feature Elizabeth in the video. Like, so yeah, like I was like, oh my God, Elizabeth's famous. It's like an inflatable doll that I made an illustration for and I got her manufactured. But I also, to be honest, didn't want to spend tons of money making Elizabeth.
How big is it? Sorry.
Excuse me. She's a little taller. I'm like 172, so she's maybe like 1.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where?
She's a tiny lady.
I mean, I don't want to divulge your secrets, but where do you go to get something like that made?
Oh, I don't know if we can keep this part.
Okay.
It depends.
That's fine. If you don't, I understand. If you don't want to.
No. It's not a secret, but it's like the manufacturer does other stuff as well.
I can imagine.
So I found it like the manufacturer in China that they do like inflatable
Okay, right.
toys.
So I'm now being shown a picture.
Yes.
Oh my.
Come on, Tom. Describe Elizabeth to us.
Well, she's very colourful. I mean, it's like one of your illustrations has been
Come to life.
brought to life. Yeah.
But she's a little bit crafty because the budget, that was my budget, was low.
So is she? She still exists somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you've taken her all around New York, taken photographs and.
Yes, I took her around New York, and my friend and I were just like taking pictures of her. She's quite funny looking.
But that's the kind of thing that I think in New York no one would bat an eyelid to. They'd just be like, yeah, that's just normal New York behavior.
Yeah, most people are just like, whatever. But some people did say, I don't know what this is, but I love it.
Okay.
And
That's
then,
cool,
and then
yeah.
I was like, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe in London, well, it depends what part of London, but yeah, that you just get confused looks.
Yeah. We were out for a little bit. But yeah, and like I had like a magazine, like a fashion magazine from Brazil. I think maybe it was Elle Brazil. I don't recall the magazine, but they were like interviewing me, and then they were asking specifically about Elizabeth as well. I was like, "Are people seeing this?" Like,
This is good.
I just like the aesthetics of like inflatable toys and like those like gas station dolls, and I was like, I need to make one eventually.
Yeah, but I think what's really cool is that you've identified something that you want to do, and you've just gone and done it. And I think sometimes it's easy to think, oh, I'd love to do that. I really hope someone asks me to do it one day. And I think the lesson we've all learned, and certainly I've learned from doing this job, is sometimes you've got to just do it for yourself, and then people will see it, and people will come back and ask you, to recreate it for them.
Yeah, I was like best case scenario, a client will want an inflatable like toy at some point that is like bigger budget, and I can do it like nicer. Worst case scenario, I have a doll, so
A friend.
new friend just dropped. So yeah.
So what's your cat's name? So you have a house cat, don't you?
Yes, I have my cat's name Shakira.
Shakira, amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. So Shakira and Elizabeth presumably can't get too close to each other.
Oh no, the first time because Elizabeth came in the mail, So like the first time I was like inflating Elizabeth, Shakira was like freaked out.
Yeah, I
she
bet.
hated her. And then she got used to it. And then I deflated Elizabeth, put her away for a while, and then I missed her, so I inflated her again. And then now she's sitting in a corner in my office. And then at first Shakira was just like, no.
Not having this.
But now she's used to Elizabeth again.
And does your cat leave the house, or does it just stay at home?
No, she hangs out in the fire escape sometimes, like in New York.
Yeah.
I don't think in London you have that many fire escapes.
No,
like in
but
New York,
it's the classic New York thing.
Yeah. So sometimes I let her go there, but I watch her so she doesn't go away. And she's polite, so she don't.
So how long have you lived in New York? You studied graphic design in Brazil, and then when did you make the move? And how was that move kind of, being part of your art career? How has that changed things for you?
Yeah, I moved to New York late 2015, but before you asked me how long I've been in New York, when we were chatting, and I said 8 years, but I don't know if that's accurate. You need to do the math.
2015, yeah, 8 years.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Give or take.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just like, because at first I didn't move, like, definitely. At first I just went.
Yeah, you said you went on a artist visa, is that right?
Yeah,
just to see it?
At first I just went in a normal tourist visa to just study some random classes at the School of Visual Arts. And then because I was working as a freelancer for US clients already, so like I was like, okay, I can afford to spend some time in New York and do that. And then I was taking a few classes there, and then eventually I got, and then I, really started liking New York.
Yeah.
And then I eventually got the artist visa, so I stayed longer. The artist visa, when I got it, you get 3 years. So I did that, and then after I ended up getting married, and so I stayed.
And it's very much home now.
Yes.
What's your favorite part of Brooklyn?
It's my neighborhood for sure, Bushwick. Yes.
And favorite part of Manhattan?
Favorite part of Manhattan. It depends on my mood. I like to go to Manhattan for parks a lot. I love the Bryant Park. I love Washington Square Park, which is two completely different experience. Washington Square Park is like chaotic depending on the time of the day.
Yeah.
But I love it. I do like the West Village area, East Village as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And what when you're not working, what do you do for fun? What is kind of, if you've had a bad day at work or, just need to get away from illustration and art, what do you do for fun?
I have a good friend that she's also an illustrator, so we like to grab lunch together in Manhattan sometimes. We like to go out into thrift stores as well. So I go to a lot of thrift stores in my neighborhood in Bushwick and in Williamsburg, also in Brooklyn. I spend too much money in theater. I like to see theater off Broadway or Broadway, doesn't matter. And just try new restaurants, go to bars, coffee shops.
Have you ever done art for a Broadway or an off-Broadway show?
No, I haven't, but that would be really cool.
We're lucky enough to have worked on a couple of shows. They're really nice briefs.
Yeah.
Especially when you see the art outside the theatre and.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll make a note of that.
Yes, please.
See what we can do.
Yes.
They're lovely projects.
Yeah, I love theatre, and theatre is also an influence for me in a certain way. Because I love to see a slice of life represented on a stage. So even here in London, I'm going to 3 plays while I'm here.
Okay, what are you seeing?
Yes. I'm seeing Uncle Vanya, which is more of an old play, but they're doing a revival. I'm seeing Next to Normal, which is a musical. about some family drama and therapy. And I'm seeing Burn City, which is like a more like interactive play, which is like happening in 2 buildings from what I understand, and you walk around with the
nice.
cast.
Oh, wow.
And it's closing on Sunday.
I think there seems to be a lot going on in London at the moment, which is quite experimental in terms of like the format. Like I know there was recently like a 24-hour play where people...
Oh yeah, I went to that in New York.
Did you go to that? Yeah.
They did the same one in New York, and then they brought it to London, so just with a different actor. And I went to that one in New York. It was really cool. Yeah.
So what was that like? So you're there as an audience, you're there for an hour, or?
You get to stay how long as you want. So some people like stayed the whole time because they're crazy. I don't know.
Wow.
Like very intense moment probably to like just spend 24 hours in the theater. I went at midnight, from midnight to 3:30 in the morning because I was near the theater, and then I was like, I'm going to go now. And I thought I was going to stay for 1 hour because they keep repeating the same thing. They just change the second actor. And then I thought that like, okay, I'm going to stay for 1 hour. And then I stayed for like 3 hours. And then I went back the next day because then I was like, now I have to see the last hour.
I need to know what happens.
Now I'm invested.
Yeah.
I want to see like her finishing and like how she's going to like be. Is she going to like faint or something? And yeah, then I went back to the final hour. But I hear that in London here was like super busy.
I think it was...
Yeah, probably.
Where was it? It was the Old Vic?
Don't know.
I think. And you've made a cameo, right, in a TV show?
In Mrs. Maisel.
Oh yes, I was an extra in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel like twice, I think, yes.
So how did that come about?
Oh, it's quite easy. Like they just need people desperately.
Yeah.
So you signed up? Are you like on a list somewhere?
Yeah. I sign up, and then once they have your info, like they'll send you like if they need people and they think you would work in the scene. So yeah, then I've done like twice. I've done it just for fun, of course. Like the payment is not.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just the experience.
Whenever I go to New York, there just seems to be filming everywhere.
Yeah,
like you
there's a
see
lot
it
of filming.
occasionally in London, but yeah, it just seems to be a really common thing in New York.
Well, they do. We're sat in our office now, and they do quite a lot of filming here.
There's a note outside saying they're going to be filming in Fabric nightclub, which is just down the road.
Oh, really?
Okay. It's like In Between Us Two or something.
And Slow Horses is filmed.
Yeah.
Just around the corner, I think.
But it just seems a lot more normal. Like,
yeah.
In New York, but they just seem to shut down whole blocks and.
Yeah, it's quite common. You always see Law and Order being shot.
Law and Order.
Law and Order. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Mrs. Maisel, I shot in studio, so it was inside a place,
right.
which was good for the costumes and stuff.
Yeah. And you got to dress up in period. You got given the clothes or told what to bring? Or?
Yeah, no, they give you everything. Like you have to go one day just to try. Like they are super like meticulous about the clothing. So that was the reason I wanted to be in the show, because I like the idea of just wearing period clothes.
Yeah.
And that's like 1960s, which is like, not crazy old, but it is different. And you have to like, they do your hair also, so it's fun.
Yeah. And you were, if I'm right, you were in a scene at the bar, is that right? You were...
Yeah.
Did you get to drink cocktails and...
Yeah, you just have like this cocktail that is kind of like you can't really drink, and they ask who wants fake cigarettes, and then I was like, I do, and then I was just like
I'll
pretending.
take a fake cigarette.
Yeah, so I was just pretending to smoke a bunch of fake cigarettes, and you just have to repeat the same scene over and over, and then you're like in a corner for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But the process is quite fun.
Yeah, fun experience.
It's
there.
fun.
Nice.
It's fun.
That's
And
good.
you hang out with people. It's nice.
And how about music? Is that do you listen to a lot of music? Do you go to live music, or do you listen to music while you work?
Yeah, I love music. It is definitely part of my work. I love dance, so I do like to see dance performances, and but also just like shows of like musicians playing. I think I probably go more to theater than to like music venues in New York, but I still go to like little shows, usually smaller stuff though, not like too big. I go to occasionally, your Lady Gaga concert, but I prefer like smaller
And do you listen to stuff whilst you're working, whilst you're painting, and?
Yeah, definitely. I listen to all sorts of different stuff. Like I always have a hard time to say what type of music do I like.
But
Because
have you made us a playlist?
Oh yeah, I did make a.
You just make us a playlist, right?
Fridays.
Yes, that ended up being kind of like a pride playlist, but it wasn't like my intention also. But then I was like finished. I was like, oh wow, this is very gay. And yes, yeah, I love music in general, and yeah, I like to put like uplifting music to work and to paint. I also listen to podcasts and to audiobooks as well while I work. Yeah.
Do you listen to any illustration podcasts, or is that too much like work?
Yeah, no, I listen to very few illustrations podcasts, to be honest, because like I'm like I need to listen to something else that is completely unrelated to what I'm doing. I like sometimes put some TV as background as well, but it has to be like shows that are like easy.
Yeah,
so
Seinfeld for me is the one that can just that can be on in the background. Doesn't require too much.
Yeah, I love Seinfeld as background as well.
Because you said you got like a home studio as well as your place, right? Is that in the same building or?
Yeah, I have like an office,
a
room in my apartment, which is it really works for me. For a while, I thought of getting a space just for work. But of course, rent in New York is very expensive. Yeah, and I like to just be there, to just if I feel like drawing or painting, whenever I can just do it and it's right there.
Yeah, and you're with Shakira and Elizabeth, so
yes,
everyone's there.
Yes, unfortunately, Elizabeth is there for like my husband and Shakira, but yeah. It is nice to be close to my cat while I work because she's needy.
Needy cats. And what brings you to London? You're just here for fun, or?
Yeah, I'm just here visiting friends, and I love to travel. So, and London is one of my favorite cities. So whenever I get the chance, it's been a while since I've been here with the pandemic and everything. So I decided that was about time and spend some time with my friends and. Just see museums and art galleries and stuff.
Yeah, anything on the list aside from the theatre? Any other plans while you're here?
So museum-wise, I just went so far to the National Gallery because I wanted the National Gallery portrait.
Yeah.
Is that the order? National Portrait Gallery. Portrait Gallery. Yeah. I love the museum. Like even like maybe second time I came to London years ago, like I was like, oh my God, I love this because it's just portraits.
That is my favorite.
Yeah, it's so good. And I spent like before, because last week I was traveling outside London, so I spent hours there and I didn't even get to the third floor, I think.
Really?
I think I didn't finish because I was just like staring.
Yeah.
And they had the Paul McCartney exhibition.
Oh, it was the Beatles. Yeah, his early shots of the Beatles, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to go see that.
Yeah, it's quite nice. It's like to see some like photographs made by him and
quite intimate, I guess, of like
Yes.
The Beatles shot by a Beatle.
Yes. When I was younger, I was like a huge Beatles fan. I still love the Beatles, of course, but when I was like a teenager, I used to have like a crush on John Lennon and Paul McCartney, so I had to see it.
Sounds good.
Well, you need to get up to Liverpool then next time you visit.
I know, I still haven't been.
No, I mean, we've 2 illustrators up in Liverpool.
Oh yeah.
So if you want to go take a trip up there at any point, I'm sure Luke and Joel will show you around.
Cool. Yeah, I should do that.
That's pretty fun for all the Beatles spots. And
I just want to go back to New York now.
Yeah. I think it's time. I mean, look, we've been very lazy. We've had guests come over from LA and New York in the past 2 weeks. I think it's time that we actually got on the road again.
Yeah, it's that we were talking about it earlier, but that thing of going to meet clients has been a bit tricky after the pandemic because everyone's working from home, but it feels like a lot more people are in offices now. So I don't know about this year, but definitely early next year we'll go.
Get on the road again.
Should do it.
Well, thank you so much for coming to see us.
Yeah.
And so lovely to meet you finally. And it's been great to sit down and have a chat. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Cool, thank you. And if you'd like to know more about Handsome Frank and our artists, check out our website, handsomefrank.com.
Thanks very much for listening.
Handsome Frank. Handsome Frank.